Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond the Page. I'm Jennifer Crosswhite, book coach and editor with Stephanie Fager, author,
Hi, friend.
marketing PR specialist extraordinaire. We are going to talk about fun stuff today,
Yeah,
mostly
we
because
are.
next week Stephanie and I will be together in person, which is very exciting.
Yes.
And part of the reason for that is what we're talking about today, being an author and a speaker. But before we get to that, I am still hanging on to my lovely Tandem Services mug.
I love it.
I
I
do.
love it.
I,
I'm looking at going to get, I actually looked online at the place you told me about for that and
Mhm.
considered getting me some.
I mean, they make great gifts. I've given mugs like this with like the kids' pictures on them to the grandparents. Like, who can't have too many mugs? Like, it's a great gift. So,
I
e-
know.
even
And
if you don't have your own business, you could put like your favorite book quote. You could do fun stuff with that. So,
if you get the
customize.
ones that are temperature done, those are
Yes,
always super fun.
those are fun. Those are really fun.
I
Yeah.
love those. Yes, I do. Well, so I thought of you this morning when I made my tea because
Yeah.
I was planning on getting a different mug. Because I'll tell you the story, but I had my kitty cat mug today.
I
But
love the kitty cat mug.
I don't know, the one I was going to get was my Mama Bear mug because I was thinking about a
Mm,
situation that I experienced this weekend in St. Louis. My husband and I went to the St. Louis Cardinals game because his
mhm,
favorite baseball player is retiring in a couple weeks. And so we took the
mm.
kids up there and then we went to go see the Arch afterwards and
Oh, fun.
found a man on the side. Well, man on the side of the road. No, we were
Yes.
walking. You saw my post, right?
I saw
Uh,
your post.
we found he was an elderly gentleman who was falling, and my husband and I found him
Mm,
at the Arch with his wife, and it was like we were chatting later about how crazy like God's timing is because it wouldn't
yes.
like just at all. But my husband's in the medical field, so he goes running. And I go running, and we're helping this man, and we walk him all the way back to his hotel. And we had a really bad experience at the hotel. But when I looked at the mug this morning and I saw Mama Bear, this is what it made me realize
Mm,
about me that Mama
mhm.
being Mama Bear does not just only like fall under the requirements of my own children. Like when you become a part of my family, Jen, like I become Mama
Yes.
Bear on you, even if I just met you.
Yes. Yes. And I think there's definitely something really about I was thinking about that this morning with author communities. That when you have found the right author community,
Yeah.
everybody, we encourage each other, we rally around each other.
Yeah.
And there's just something really fantastic about
Yeah.
that. And I think we need that, in a
Yeah, we
world
do.
that can be very divisive and
Mhm.
it feels competitive. And definitely in the book world, there's times it certainly has felt competitive.
Yeah.
But I think that just
Yeah.
having those people who will stand up for you in any situation and encourage you is fantastic. And so,
Yes.
going off of that, I'm involved in a multi-author promo today. So there's something called Zoe Bub, and right now there's over 800 books that are free today. I'm going to put it
It's
is
amazing.
romancebookworms.com. So my book Flashpoint is free today on all platforms. It's actually free till the 24th. But if you go to romancebookworms.com, you will get over 800, any kind of romance you can think of, it's on there. And there are some
Amazing.
categories, and you can search for different names and stuff like that. But I write my romantic suspense under JL Crosswhite. So if you're looking for Flashpoint, look for JL Crosswhite. But if you love books, this is our author way of giving back to the community. You don't have to sign up for anything. We just
Yeah.
are able to come together and give away books. And people who love to read, you can binge on a bunch of books, fill up your Kindle, your Nook Reader, all your apps that they have. Every retailer has their own little app so you can read on your device. And it's just a fun way to celebrate being an author. I
That's
love
amazing.
seeing in the social media all of us authors posting about it and sharing each other's posts. And
I
it's like
love
it's all
it.
exciting that we're part of this one big giveaway for the day.
Love it.
And those are the kinds of things that when
Yes.
you have an author community, you can create for
Yes.
yourself. You can put those together.
Yep.
You can gather people together and do your own promotions. You don't have to rely on other things, and you
Mhm.
guys can celebrate each other and encourage each other. And there's really, nothing better than other authors encouraging each other. So
it's an industry
fun.
of people that like, it's like, I call it the pay it forward kind of
Yes.
industry. Like, I don't know what it is, but as authors, even though people might see us externally as competitors, I don't feel it, Jen. Like, I feel like
there's so many
space.
books out there. Like,
yes,
people who read, they don't just like, if as an author, you cannot keep your readers satisfied. You can't. And so, I mean, you could possibly, there are people who read a book a day, like you can't possibly, keep that readership, engaged. And so, it's the most wonderful thing you can do is to understand other authors, unite with them when you have the same group of people that you all love and that are your target audience, and serve them and give them the things that they need. And so it's really not, I think, I'm in a group that has the phrase, a rising tide lifts all boats. And there's definitely something for that. If we are, encouraging each other and working together, then we can definitely make everything better for all of us. And
at church this weekend, I heard they said something, iron sharpens iron. And I'm like, yeah.
Yes.
Like,
so
we
true.
Better because everybody wins, or 2 + 2 equals so much more than 4, or 1 + 1 equals more than 2, or whatever, how that phrase goes.
Right.
But it's just, this is not if you are an author out there, you do not need to be in a silo. Like, ask for help, get with people, find your people, right? Because there are people, Jen, who may not be your people. I've been in parts of groups.
This is true. Like that
too, right? But
I tell people that all the time. Just because you try one group and it doesn't work out, don't give up. It can take some time to find the right group of people.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm excited. So in theory, I could go get 800 books today.
You could.
That would be a really long TBR. Like,
it would be very long.
That could cover me for quite some time. I'm gonna go. That's amazing.
It's a lot of fun.
I love it.
I enjoy it being a part of that. So I wanted to mention that those of you who are readers, go binge and go crazy getting a bunch of great books. And the cool thing about stuff like that is you get to try authors that you wouldn't necessarily try. And so being able to sample them and then find somebody that you love and then go read the other books in their series or other books that they have out, I think that can be a really fantastic thing to do. So it's always fun to find. I always go on there and grab, oh, I know that author. Like, we were in this, clubhouse meeting together and I've wanted to try her book. So I'm going to go grab some of their books. And, I'm in my to-be read pile. I will never get through, but I always add it because I'm like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to read that person. And it reminds me that I wanted to read that person. So
that is so much fun. I'm excited. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the other authors in there. In preparation, side note, you and I will be together next week. I know we mentioned.
I'm so excited.
I know. And I think we're going to do this live.
Yes, let's do live.
So next Thursday, instead of Wednesday, we will, before we go into our fun day and a half of amazingness, Jen and I will pop in and do a live. But I was acknowledging, I was doing some research on you in preparation. And I'm looking at all of your books and I'm like, this girl is legit, man. She's got books out of her ears and they just keep coming. And it's wonderful. So I encourage anyone listening now or later, even if you're listening after the romancebookworms.com deal isn't there, go get a book of Jen's. I mean, your covers are gorgeous. Your messaging is strong. And I love just, I've learned so much from you and us knowing each other for the last year and a half.
It's been amazing, right? It's just how you get put together with people that you're just like, oh, you're my people. Like, we're just supposed to like connect. And it's just such a, like you were saying, it's a synergistic relationship. And I love those relationships. They're the best. I love the technology. You're in Kentucky, I'm in California, and we still are able to connect on a regular basis because of technology.
So I love it. Wednesdays are my favorites because of that. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And it's also just beautiful on how the world works because my book that's coming out next week, your team edited. Like you are
Yes.
and I was it last night that I texted? No, it was the night before. I texted you. It's like, oh my gosh. It is, when you're in the thick of bringing a book to life, I think one thing I told you is this is remind me to never do this again. Like why?
Like, yeah, whatever.
We'll move on. I'll forget. I said,
Yep.
this is beautiful reasons why women forget childbirth. You
Yes.
forget birthing books too, because it's so stressful and overwhelming, and emotional and vulnerable, right? I've been going through a lot of those feelings that I know authors experience. But on the flip side, I specifically, and I want to shout out to you and your team, because as I had the chance to review it from top to bottom again, I realized you guys made my book even better. Like it strengthened the book and the manuscript and the messaging. And anyways, I can't be more thankful. And I get to celebrate next week with you. It's going to be so wonderful, Jen.
Yay. Well, that is the goal.
Yes.
We always want to just take what the author has and make it the best possible thing it can be. Yeah. And it does take a team. I mean, it's very, very hard to publish a book, write a book, publish a book in solitude. I mean, theoretically, it's possible, but I wouldn't recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend it for so many reasons. I mean, I just wouldn't. You can't. You are you. You can't see past you. No matter how much you try to, you can't see past you. And on the flip side, Jen, I feel that way when it's in regards to what do you do with your book next. I don't think you have to do that in solitude either. Of course, I don't think everybody has to make financial investments in book marketing. Right. Not everybody has the means, and that's okay. But don't live in a silo and say, I don't know what the next step is that I need to do. And instead find your community. And you and I have talked about what's happening next week here in Kentucky. But we'll just jump in because I think it's really good fodder for our conversation today. And that is community and how community can come together to support others in really meaningful ways. One way that authors leverage books to extend messages is not only through the book, but through the page, but through the stage. And next week we are creating we've got an immersive experience we've created for some amazing authors who are really looking to kind of build that stage presence and grow it. So some that are coming have probably never done that. Others have done it and are deepening it, but together we're going to all be better from it. And so I thought, speaking a little bit about why speaking is important would be really good. And I also want to know, because I know you're coming and we're going to be playing around with your nonfiction book, but as fiction authors too, there's value. There's value.
Great value.
Speaking. And sometimes speaking, the stage of speaking is like a virtual stage, like what you and I are doing. Yeah. Another stage might be in front of hundreds and thousands of people. That might give you heart palpitations. You get to pick. But
and I think there's two things that you are bringing up that are really important for all authors to consider. One is, yes, I know public speaking is the number one fear. When they do these surveys, what are you most afraid of above dying is public speaking, right? And it's a skill that you can learn. It absolutely is a skill that you can learn. And then two, the other thing is that what you just said, video is very hot in all of the social media algorithms. And so to become searchable, you need to at least get comfortable with video. You don't have to do all the video, all the places, all the time. Right. But people are much more, if you look in your feeds, there's many, many more videos in there. And so even just a welcome video embedded in your newsletter or on your website or little snippets, doesn't have to be a whole thing like what we do, but being able to get comfortable with that wherever it is a technique. You do not want to have to turn down a group who asks you to speak because you don't have the tools and the techniques and the skills to carry that off. And so having that kind of in your toolkit, even if it's not your favorite thing to do, can be a great way to expand your audience. There is nothing better than, and I'm sure we've all had this experience where you've heard somebody speak and you're like, oh my gosh, they have a book. Like, I feel like I have a connection with them now. I need to go get their book. Yep. And so if you're a speaker, you need to have a book because you're leaving money on the table if you do not, because people want to take your message and know more about it and share it with people. But
Yeah.
the reverse is also true. If you're an author, you need to have some level of basic speaking skills, because it's amazing. And I know, obviously, I know a lot of fiction authors, and how they get asked to speak to local community groups, to
Yes.
school groups, on the radio, sometimes
Yes.
on podcasts. And so it's really important to just be comfortable enough with that where you can not turn down those opportunities.
It's funny to me that you mention that public speaking is the fear over. I mean, it's true.
It's so true.
And, because I've told people before, visibility in book marketing tends to be the shiny thing that people get excited about. But in reality, you just shared, they get excited and absolutely flipping terrified about it.
Yes,
And so
for sure.
I realized that and realized that that is unfortunate. And so actually the event has built in elements of helping you move past that. So we're working through
Mhm.
that in addition to capturing footage of you on a stage speaking.
Yes.
When you mentioned videos, I just jotted down 3 things that I think are great for any author to do. The first one is, if you are in LinkedIn and you haven't turned on creator mode, I want you to. And I want you to turn it on, and I want you to record a 20-second video that you can only do from your phone. You can't do it on the computer
Right.
on creator mode. Don't overthink it. 20 seconds or 30 seconds. It's super short, but it gives people the opportunity to hear you and to see
Mhm.
you. And you're a person now. You're not just a photo.
It's
People
a
love
fun
that.
little it's a fun little
Fun.
feature. Yes,
It
just
is
say who you
fun.
are and what you do. Yeah,
Yes,
it's fun.
super easy. I
Yep.
highly encourage you to do that. The second thing that you mentioned, I think, is really smart, and I'm laughing because I'm having a cat giving baths to people today. We have a cat over here that's licking people on our team.
They do that.
They do that. The second one, though, that has been beneficial for me, Jen, is what we call a video business card. And so
Yes.
at the bottom of my email, I do have this this has been formally produced. So I do have that, but you don't have to. You don't have to.
Right.
You can create it. But it is who are you? What do you do? And who do you do it for? I will tell you time and time again, that video has changed things for me and for people. And when they meet with me, when I have time to get on the phone with them, they already feel like they know me. And
Yes.
that feels good. So video does that. And the third one I jotted down was, if you want to speak on a stage, people need to see that you're on a stage. And that's what next week is about. Next week for us is about creating an environment where we can get photos and videos and your marketing assets and all of the strategy behind if you're wanting to speak on a stage and be considered as a professional person speaking on a stage. People need to see that you're on stage.
Right.
Especially the paid options, right? They're not going to invest if, just from a hope. They're going to do it because they see what they're going to get from it. And so, but video's huge. There is a book I have yet to read in my TBR, probably now lower on the list because I'm going to go buy some romance books today. But it is specifically about the power of video, and not just the power of video, but if you pair it with the speaking efforts that you can do with your book, it's going to elevate you. It's giving you an opportunity for thought leadership. It's differentiating you from other people, but it will sell books. I'm not joking. People buy and invest in solutions that others provide. And as authors,
so true.
I want people to remember you and your book bigger than just the book that they bought. I want them to connect with you because that's where you're memorable.
Yes. It's true. It's so true. I mean, I can't disagree with anything you said. It's just 100%. Yes, all of that is so true. And it's true. I love what you're saying about video, is how it makes people feel like they get to know you. And, in the marketing world, we talk about the know, like, and trust, right? People have to go through those 3 stages before they want to buy something from you. And they can learn about you from your website or from your books or whatever. But that like and trust factor tends to come over time, and video accelerates that, because you do feel like I can get to know you. I can see who you are as a real person. There's just something about that video that makes you feel more connected to the other person. And I think it's a fantastic, as much as you may not like it. Before the pandemic, I had a marketing friend. We were in a networking group, and she said, "You need to do a Facebook Live every day." And I was like, "No way." And I will tell you, I'm a recovering perfectionist. So for me, this was like, I have to do my hair and makeup every day. Are you kidding me? I don't want to do that. And
Yep.
so when the pandemic started, I took what she said seriously, and I just wanted to encourage people. I have been working at home for years and give people little tips about how to work from home and how to stay encouraged. And I had Raja the Wonder Cat with me, and I think people tuned in for that more so. I mean, literally, she would be like crawling all over me. You could see her like she'd leap from my shoulder to the bookcase. I mean,
I
it was
love it.
entertainment. And I did that every day for 8 weeks,
Mhm.
and it got me over the fear of feeling like it had to be
Yes.
perfect. I had
Yes.
just a few little notes on my screen that I referred to, just bullet points, but it was not scripted. And I think honestly, that natural activity, people feel like they get to know you better because
Yep.
it feels real. It doesn't feel overly produced, overly scripted, overly everything, right? It feels very real. When things are almost too polished, sometimes we wonder, is that really you, or
Agree.
is that just the
Agree.
production?
No, that's really good advice. And when you and I what was it back in March? I'm looking at my calendar. Back in March when we decided to start doing these, it was also a thing that pushed both of us out of our comfort zone. You mean
Right?
weekly? I have to do that weekly? It's like, yeah, we could do it because we're doing it together.
Yeah.
And it's in alignment with, there's a chapter of my book that I think, makes sense to share here. And it's around visibility, but it's get seen, be heard, sell books. So when I really kind of like took a step back and reflected on how does visibility play into all this? What I realized is it's pretty easy in the world today to be seen. I mean, you walk down the street, you can be seen. You can do a TikTok video, someone can see you. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference in being seen and getting seen and being heard. And
Yes.
the being seen is in the world with tons of chaos. Someone might see your stuff, and it's important. You need to be seen.
Right.
But the more that you are consistent with your visibility, people will stop watching only with their eyes and they'll start watching through their ears too. They're listening to what you're saying, your message, they're sticking. And that is when the conversion happens. That's when people go, oh, great. And the other part is people come to life every day, experiencing intersections and crossroads in their life. So people, I'll never forget when my grandmother was diagnosed with cancer. I was working at the American Cancer Society, and my mom was like, oh my gosh, why do I see cancer stuff everywhere? Like, Mom, I've been at the Cancer Society for a decade. It's everywhere. It's a part of my, it's what I do for a living. And she's like, but I've never seen it before. I was like, but now you're at a crossroads, and cancer is a part of our everyday. So now I see it. So use that to your benefit, author friends out there. Like, be visible, but don't stop being visible, because when people hit a crossroads, they'll start listening to what you have to say. And that's when book sales happen. So it's not an easy road to be successful in all of these things. But it requires persistence, vulnerability, and consistency.
And that's exactly why your message doesn't have an expiration date. Your book doesn't have an expiration date, because your book may be out for a while. Someone might be casually familiar with it, but when it addresses that need that they have, then they're like, oh, there's that book. I'm going to go back to it. Because your message will hit them right when they are ready for it. And that there's no expiration date on that. And that's one of the fantastic things about the publishing world that we live in now, is that we've got a lot more options for continuing a book beyond just this particular launch period. You've got the ability to get it out and build your audience over time, because your message is going to be more and more relevant to people as they come across it in their need.
Yeah, your book is not a banana.
Right.
It's not going to go bad and draw gnats. I tried to kill a gnat right before our call. But your book is like, think of it like the condensed soup, but the good condensed soup with no salt added, or limited, right? It's that non-perishable, canned good in your pantry that when you're ready to open it, just put it on the heater, stick it in the microwave, and life's good again, right? And so don't think of the shelf life being so minimal. Realize that you have a beautiful piece of you that you're sharing, that when people hit that crossroad, it's ready for them.
It's ready for them. Yeah. And so the more that you are out there speaking and sharing your message, the more you have that opportunity to run across people in their need who will resonate with your message. So that's why it's important to be out there and not just like hiding. And I know it can seem as an author that you're beating this drum over and over and you're sick of hearing it. And I heard a business coach say one time, and he was talking about messaging within your own company.
Yeah.
That by the time you're sick of hearing it, they're just now hearing it within a company. So you could imagine how many times you might say a value or a theme or an objective over and over within a company. And as the leader, you're like, I've said this to these people hundreds of times. They should have known by now, right? And no, they're just now getting it. How much more so is that to the wide out world there, where you're like, I feel like I say this all the time and I'm annoying, but people are coming across who've never heard it before.
Absolutely.
And that's the part that is really fantastic, that you can absolutely reach people, new people all the time. You just don't give up.
Don't give up. Don't give up if you're stressed about trying to figure out how to market your book. Don't give up writing the book, you know.
Right.
Don't give up if you're terrified of getting on a stage and you know that that's a great way to sell it. Like, just don't give up. That's
right.
Beautiful advice, Jen, for today. Don't give up. Just keep swimming as my favorite.
Just keep swimming.
Character. Yes.
I love it. I love it. There's over the weekend, I put up on YouTube, you know, they have those fish videos that look like you're turn your TV into an aquarium, and they're so relaxing. And my son had his turned 21 last week, and so he had a bunch of friends over on Sunday, and I had that video up mostly for the cats. I have to say the cats really enjoy it. And all these young adults came over, and I was like, hey, you guys can turn it off, you can tell Alexa to play music, whatever. They're like, no, we really like this. And they were really into it. But you know, they had the little Finding Nemo, you know, Dory and everything. Fishes were on there. And I kept thinking of you.
Well, you know, I had this epiphany the other day. I was reflecting on just keep swimming. Literally, my mom texted it to me yesterday. Like, it is baked into my life. But I had this epiphany that one of my staff years ago gave me for Christmas a Dory. And it in the beginning, I thought, oh, that's cute. That's for my kids. And I'm like, that was so not for my kids. It was totally for me. I mean, yeah, if I get to pick movie night movie, it is Finding Nemo or Finding Dory, hands down.
I have not seen Finding Dory. I've seen Finding Nemo many times. And I think I mentioned that in one of the classes at 20 Books in the big conference there, and they put their videos on YouTube. But one of the guys that was teaching about craft used Finding Nemo as the story that he was talking about, the story question, and that Marlin has a story question that's separate from Nemo's story question, and so they're on separate journeys of what they're trying to accomplish and figure out. So anyways, so I have been using that a little more.
I would have loved that. When we went to Florida, Disney World this summer, and we ended up going to Animal Kingdom. We had never been there. And there is a attraction where they have Finding Nemo in a theatrical performance.
Oh, fun.
My kids were so mad at me because I'm like, we're going to it. And we're like, right. And they're like, I don't want to do that. I want to do another roller coaster. And I don't think that they loved it as much as I did, but I just sat there and I'm like taking all these pictures like a goofball. But I'm telling you, it was like amazing. And I think that, I mean, not to go down this path, but this is what books do for people. This is what messages and stories do. When that story came out, it was at a time in my life that I needed the reminder that I don't have to know how to do Olympic swimming. I just have to doggy paddle and keep my head above water. And if I can doggy paddle, then whether that, and I mean that more like figuratively, right? But I guess literally too, but at the end of the day, that's going to help me build the plane while I fly it. It's going to help me kind of make the momentum I want. And it's as a also recovering perfectionist, Jen, it's giving me permission to realize that you just have to keep moving. Don't stop moving or swimming.
It's so true. You can't, there's nothing you can't recover from, you know.
Absolutely.
Maybe you've let something lie dormant, or you feel like you flubbed something. It's all stuff you can recover from. You just have to keep moving forward.
Just keep moving forward.
Yes. So normally we give a quote from a book. And so I normally probably wouldn't do this, but I'm in the process of writing my next book under an indigo moon. It's up for pre-order if you want to pre-order it. And the first line, I've worked on this first line. It's been around for many years, but I think it's actually sort of key. That's fiction. It's key to what we've been talking about today. So here is the sentence. It says, the metal key warmed in Carissa Carver's hand, the teeth cutting into her palm as she cradled it. odd how the future could be held in such a small item. And I love the line about the future just being held in such a small item, just being representative. And so I think that is one thing I want to tie in with today as the sun is coming through my blinds and giving me sparkles, that the future can be held in a small item, a little bit of video, a little bit of speaking, a little stepping out of your comfort zone. It does not take much to just change your direction just a little bit. So now you are on a slightly different path. So anyways,
that's amazing.
The beginning of that.
That's amazing. And I'm so excited about that book that is forthcoming. It's going to be amazing.
Yes, Jen. As soon as I finish writing it.
I didn't go down there. You went there. You put that pressure on yourself.
I'm making progress, so I don't feel as badly about it. I am swimming on that book. Not quite drowning. Sometimes I thought maybe I was drowning, but
you've got this. You've got this. And so do all of you all who are watching today. You've got this. Yes. Give yourself grace. Give yourself direction. Give rest in the peace that you don't have to do all the things. You can do some of the things, but you can do all the things, just not all right now. And push yourself out of your comfort zone. I find that when I'm uncomfortable, the best things come from it.
That's very true. The best things come on the other side of your comfort zone. That is incredibly, incredibly true. Well, next week we will be together live, not on Wednesday, but on Thursday. So that will be exciting because Wednesday I will be driving to the airport this time next week. Or maybe actually already at the airport, right around there. So next week will be very exciting. That's going to be so much fun. So tune in for that. And authors, remember, your words have power, your book has power, and your message has power. And so we are inviting you to take that to the page and beyond, which can include speaking.
Yep.
And as we cheer you on the pursuit of your book and your publishing dream. So we will see you guys next week. Have a great week until then. All right. Bye-bye.
See you guys.